Taking the time to practice, to observe, and to play in little ways like this will be reflected in your finished work as well. This month I've been talking about how powerful it is to work practice into your weekly painting rhythm. Exercises like this are great when you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to keep making some progress. Often I'll do these practices on the back of a painting that I wasn't happy with, just so I can save paper and I don't like to waste. Let me zip ahead and show you the different phases of painting this tree. First, we're going to paint the silhouette of the tree, the shape of the tree. And then in step 2, we're going to drop in some darks into that while it's still wet. And then after that, we're going to use a rigger brush and practice our brush work. It's going to look like this. So let's go back to the beginning. I'm loading up my brush with raw umber. One thing you need to remember about trees that is very important is that the base of the tree needs to be the biggest part of the tree. And every branch, as we get further away from that point, needs to get smaller and smaller. It just doesn't feel right. When the tree couldn't even support that branch, that's when it just starts to kind of fall apart and not look realistic. So that's one of the key basic parts of a tree that we need to pay attention to. Always getting smaller as we go away. And look how I kind of got pretty thick on this branch. So I'm going to have to come back down and expand this as I get lower down to the ground. It's fun to not be confined by a drawing and to practice and play and work with our brush marks. This brush here is a silver black velvet size 12. You can place your brush down, and then when you're ready to make a smaller branch, you're releasing the pressure on the brush from the paper. So you're pressing down harder when you start, and you're raising your hand off the paper so the mark gets smaller as you get away from the tree. These are organic plants, right? We don't want too much symmetry. You don't want all of your branches to kind of go in the same direction. You don't want a lot of repetitive brush marks, all the branches the same length. You're avoiding patterns and symmetry and other approaches that would make the tree not look natural, like a living, organic, growing, natural tree. I've mixed in some neutral tint into my paint, and I'm dropping this in while that first bit of paint is still wet. And what that creates is nice little soft shadow shapes on the tree. So if you're painting a tree that's in broad light and there's these dappled shadows across the scene, it's really nice to be able to drop that bit of darkness in and get a soft, nondescript edge that actually looks very beautiful as well. When we start to add different values into the tree, it starts to take on a life of its own. There's a lot of variance in the shape and angles, and so shadows being cast across a tree in dappled light, you're going to have areas where the shadow is broken. So notice I'm not just highlighting or adding dark over all of the branch. I'm kind of doing it in areas and breaking it up. That looks a little more natural than just sweeping over the whole branch and making it dark. Practices like this are so fun and they're so relaxing. There's no pressure to think about organizing your painting, color mixing, anything like that. So taking the time to practice, to observe, and to play in little ways like this will help you grow as a painter. What you do here will be reflected in your finished work as well. The second brush I'm using in this exercise is a rigger brush. I'm holding it further back. I'm trying to create loose, expressive brush marks. The opposite of that is holding your brush really close like this and making a lot of little repetitive marks. Things look more realistic and loose and expressive if you can hold your brush further back. I like using this rigger brush too because I can get these nice little broken marks. Those little dry brush marks add some life and some interest and some character to your paintings. When you really don't have enough time to complete a whole painting, do something like this, and you'll be surprised how fun and engaging this is. We forget how fun it is just to create with no consequence. Here again are the 3 phases. First, I'm laying in the outline of the tree, then I'm dropping in some darks while things are still damp, and I'm going in with a rigger brush to add some fine details. Get in the habit of creating these little sketches in between your painting time to continue your progress and your growth. Subscribe and follow if you haven't already, and be sure and tune in next week. I'm going to be showing you how to paint this scene step by step. And if you were looking for something to help you grow immediately, take a look at this free resource I have for you. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? Some of your paintings turn out, some of your paintings don't turn out, and you're not really sure why. Well, I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone, you could print it out, and you can take a look at these crucial planning steps. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.